Hello and welcome to this week's video summary of industry news brought to you by Estate Agent Today and Letting Agent Today. We begin with a familiar subject to all agents, the war between the property portals. The arguments turned a little nastier this week with two statements from Zoopla which edge closer and closer to accusing OnTheMarket of not telling the truth about its website traffic. The most dramatic claim was Zoopla's accusation that the new portal appears to be deliberately engaging in a campaign of misinformation about its own website traffic and the listings on rival websites. Zoopla is quoting two independent internet monitoring services, one called Hitwise and the other ComScore, as suggesting OnTheMarket's visitor numbers are still low. OnTheMarket, meanwhile, is having none of it and accuses Zoopla of peddling entirely inaccurate figures, running a campaign of smear tactics and trying to intimidate agents who have chosen to remove all their properties and advertising expenditure from Zoopla. Meanwhile, one small property portal, Home, entered the fray this week with its own separate critique of OnTheMarket. It claims that OnTheMarket's number of member agents is actually higher than the portal itself says, but that is facing an uphill struggle to displace Zoopla as Britain's #2 portal. Home claims that while OnTheMarket has impressed in getting agents to move over from Zoopla, the rate of movement has slowed significantly. This slanging match shows little sign of coming to an end almost 2 months after the launch of the new portal. Expect another instalment next week. The estate agency industry had little to take from George Osborne's budget this week. The biggest measure to capture the attention of agents was the innovation of a Help to Buy ISA. First-time buyers who save up to £12,000 towards the deposit on a new home will go on to receive a £3,000 top-up from the government under the scheme. Many felt this was at least a sympathetic nod to the plight of first-time buyers, but some agents, Countrywide, Easy Property and Hart, felt it didn't address the real problem, that there are far too few homes being built. However, there has been concern in the letting sector about some of the budget small print, which suggest that the government wants to make it illegal for private sector tenancy agreements to include clauses that prevent the subletting of a property. Still in the lettings sector, there was yet another development in the landlord licensing saga, with the government trying to limit the powers of local councils to introduce blanket licensing schemes applying to every property to let in one area. This week has seen councils rushing to try to introduce exactly those schemes before the April deadline. Liverpool has already beaten the deadline, and Croydon went ahead and introduced the scheme, saying it would not be intimidated by government. Camden Council in London is discussing a scheme, as is West Lindsey Council in Lincolnshire. Critics of the scheme say the cost of the licences will inevitably be passed on to tenants, and that the schemes are little more than fundraising opportunities for local councils. Meanwhile, in other lettings news, high-end agency Hamptons International has thrown its weight behind longer standard tenancies, lasting 1 to 3 years instead of 6 months. It says this will lead to a healthier rental market. And Belvoir is writing to its tenants and landlords saying that it is against Labour's proposals for the private rental sector, including rent caps and a ban on letting agency fees imposed on tenants. Finally, this week, we have a look at the latest ways of selling a home in Indonesia. At first sight, it looks as if the advert for a 2-bedroom bungalow says it comes with free Wi-Fi, but no, it actually comes with a free wife. The 40-year-old widow selling the house on Java Island for around £50,000 told her estate agent that in addition to looking for a new buyer, she was also on the prowl for a husband. Little did she know that the agent took her comment a little too literally, and the internet property listing carried a few details about the seller as well as the house. According to the agent, so far, there have been hundreds of people wanting to see the property and the seller. That's it for now. If we haven't found a new partner within the next few days, we'll be back again next week with another video summary. In the meantime, keep up to date with Estate Agent Today and Letting Agent Today online every day. See you next time.